Hello and welcome to my channel. Thank you for watching. My name is Alan and this is not your typical cooking channel. Instead of watching how to make something, I will be rating recipes I find on the internet based on a variety of factors. At the end, I will assign a real-world cooking dad score based on those factors and tell you whether or not I would cook it again. Before we begin, I want to say that I am not a professional chef. I have never worked in a restaurant or in the food service industry in general, and I have been cooking at home for 15 years. Enough about me, let's get started. Today I will be reviewing Instant Pot Chicken and Sausage Jambalaya. I found this recipe at tastebetterfromscratch.com. I have a link to that in the description below. Here's what you'll need to make this recipe. Ingredients for this recipe are easy to acquire at most major grocery stores, so I rate this a 9. The only potential challenge might be the Cajun seasoning, but there are some reputable name brand seasonings out there, and I found that the grocery store's house brand is actually more flavorful and less expensive. This recipe is a little on the expensive side since it features 2 types of meats, so it gets a 6 for cost per serving. We use Johnsonville andouille sausage at $4.39 per package and chicken from the meat counter at $2.99 a pound. With all the vegetables and assuming I have all seasonings on hand, this recipe costs us about $25 to make. Assuming no leftovers, which in our family is typical, that works out to about $3.57 per family member. The directions are straightforward with only 8 steps, so I give them an 8. I didn't have any questions, nor was I confused about any of the directions. The recipe states a 15-minute prep time. While I'm not as fast at chopping vegetables as a professional chef, watching other home cooks on YouTube, I can say I'm reasonably faster than the average home cook. That being said, every ingredient except the seasoning has to be cut, so prepping to cook this recipe took me 35 minutes, over double the time called for in the recipe. I give this recipe a score of 5 because the actual prep time and the time needed to cook pushed this recipe to well over an hour. It's not good for a Monday night after a long day, but better suited for a Sunday before a long week. The recipe states it will take 25 minutes to cook, including cooking the sausage, sautéing the chicken and vegetables, and bringing the liquids up to pressure. It took me 35 minutes. However, part of that cook time is hands-off while the Instant Pot builds pressure and cooks, allowing me to do pretty much anything else for 20 minutes. So I give this recipe a 7 for cook time. I love that all the cooking is done in the Instant Pot. There is no pre-cooking or browning of anything on the stove prior to adding it to the Instant Pot. However, to eliminate the possibility of cross-contamination, this recipe requires at least 4 bowls for prep. 1 for the chicken, 1 to reserve the sausage, and 1 for each of the vegetables and seasonings. Add in the spoon used for stirring and the cutting board and cutlery, and my kids don't typically like cleaning up after this one, but it's not the worst on their list, so they give it a neutral emoji while I give it a 6. Because of the flavors, this is one of my family's favorite recipes. In fact, if there are any leftovers, there's usually a fight over who gets them, including me. So this recipe gets a 7. If you decide to cook this recipe, I would recommend doubling the seasonings, especially the Cajun seasoning, and that will make this recipe easily an 8 for flavor. That brings our overall real-world dad score to 42 out of 70. This recipe is requested on average about once every 2 months or so, and I don't groan thinking about making it. It feeds all 7 of us well, including 3 teenagers. So if you have an Instant Pot, I would definitely recommend giving it a try. That's all I have for today. Thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing and follow me on Instagram for even more recipes and videos. Happy cooking, and always keep an eye on your heat.